welcome to the MadTrio podcast. This week we have the California Pariah, Jonathan Charney, James the Fat Man Stevens, hello, and Ryan, is that a guy? Preston.
No.
So...
Definitely not.
We have a couple of things...
I don't get that too much since I cut my hair.
So I have a couple of things to talk about. The first one...
I thought you were talking about the chick you were approaching at the bar.
So
did you look at her hands? I mean, those kind of hurt.
So the couple things I'm going to talk about, the first one being free speech. So the last couple of weeks I've run into people who have had some interesting opinions on free speech. So to set this up, about a year and a half ago, I had a conversation on Facebook with an acquaintance of mine saying I didn't like the name of a particular group, saying I thought it was too exclusive. Because I've always been the opinion, if you want to help the most people, you need to be inclusive. Allow the most people to help. That way you get a bigger amount of people to help you.
He's talking about the KKK.
No, I'm not. So what happened is a friend of this person threatened me and Ryan and James, basically saying that, we noticed, I noticed you do a podcast. What would happen if I told your audience about this? And he threatened us. And the way I took this was I took it personal, said, well, now that you're threatening me and my livelihood and blah, 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 I'm done. So I've told this particular tidbit to a couple of people, and most people had this thing saying, well, you should stop. I said, wait, what do you mean you should stop? Oh, you should stop talking. Stop having the conversations. Like, wait, hold on. So you're siding with the people who threatened me, that I'm being pedantic. I realize that. But because I disagree with something, you should automatically stop doing it because this person feels they have the right to threaten me when it's a basic civil conversation? I want to know
what was the basis of the threat? I don't understand.
Basically, this person said, and imagine this in like the Godfather voice, this is how I took it, was, I noticed you do a show called Real Flicks Reviews. What would happen if I told your audience about your opinion? And my opinion was just this. I dislike the name. I agree with the message. I understand the message. I don't like the name. That's all I said. I was defending the fact that I just dislike the name. I'm a very pedantic person. If you have a
name of what?
I'm not giving the name. Sorry. I'll tell you after the show's over.
What was it?
What's that?
Okay. Wait, can you give me a hint?
No. But see.
Is it Jew?
He wanted to be a Jew.
Who, Ryan?
No, the person you're
talking. Are we
to.
talking about like a group of people, a gaggle of geese? I don't understand.
It's a group of people. It's a group of people who you've united with each other, trying to better their situation.
Supposedly.
And so my comment was just like...
And the name that is given to these people is not a name that you're particularly a fan of, or...
I don't
It's an exclusive fan club.
Yeah, it basically is the fact that I thought that name is a no-go. The
Scooby-Doo fan club.
Yeah, like you may, like, for example, if you had a Doctor Who fan club and it was the third Doctor, whoever that was, said, this is this guy's fan club. So you're automatically...
Matt Smith?
Okay, well,
this is Matt Smith the third?
This is the Doctor Who Matt Smith Doctor Who fan club. So basically, you're saying I don't want anybody else but fans of this. You would serve the community better if you were the Doctor Who fan club. And so that's kind of what I was saying. It's like you would help you better if you found a name that fit your cause, but was also not so exclusive. Was my opinion. Granted, this is my simple, humble opinion. And they threatened me. And what kind of pissed me off was the fact that it's a civil conversation. We were having discourse about something, and now people are saying, you should just not have that opinion. You should change it. Or, I don't understand that. That's one of the great things about being an American. Not everybody actually has the First Amendment, the ability to have conversation anywhere. At some countries, if you say, hey, this guy sucks, they'll throw your ass in jail. So it kind of bothered me that nobody realizes that you shouldn't have people being reactionary in a bad way when you're stating your opinion, because you're not hurting anybody. It's not like I'm giving a Nazi salute, or anything. I mean, what do you think, James?
Well, look, I
Right.
see. I kind of see where I'm not James. I see where you're coming from. Look, I get into it with my boss all the time, mostly because he has some very, very narrow-minded and sort of naive opinions, and then just sort of typically about race. I find myself sort of arguing on the side of just kind of truth and logic, and this guy's sort of coming from my personal experience has been such and such, and all I've ever tried to do is say, hey, listen, I'm just trying to give you some information to incorporate into your decision-making process. You know what I mean? So if once you have some new information, your opinion then legitimately changes, or you have reason to sort of take a step back and kind of look at maybe why you think of something, then that's wonderful. That's the idea of discourse. You know, the second you dismiss people and you try to vilify them for a particular opinion, even if that opinion is not necessarily in line with your particular value structure or your morality, it's not up to us to limit that speech. It's up to us to hear it and identify it and sort of give an alternate opinion. But that's really all it comes down to. I will always fall on the side of free speech and sort of say what you want to say, aside from literally threatening somebody, which sounds like what happened. You know what I mean? I mean, look, what would happen if your audience knew such and such? I mean, fuck that guy. Fucking tell him whatever you want. Give a shit.
And that's why I was pissed. It's like, I'll be the first person to I'm going to hold true to my ideas because it takes a lot for me to change my mind. And
well,
I
look,
could,
here's the thing is, I know exactly what you're talking.
But sorry, I want to finish my thought. It takes me a lot to change my mind, and I'm totally ready to admit, I was ready then, and I'm ready now to admit, maybe it doesn't serve that cause. But I've always been the opinion, a cause is best served when there's a better group size to serve that cause. Was all I was trying to say. It's like, because it's a cause I can see more people getting around. And
look, I think I know exactly the particular scenario that you're talking about. And one, I don't know why you're even trepidatious in bringing up the particulars of it all, because it really does just boil down to, hey, look, this is my opinion on this particular name. Maybe it would serve the particular situation better. I know exactly what you're saying, and I think 99% sure that I know exactly what you're talking about. But it's not. To me, that's not an opinion on the value judgment of the organization itself or the particular, the social opinion or what have you.
Yeah,
you gotta have an opinion.
It's just the public perception. Now, here's the thing. Here's the main point: is if you yourself come to that conclusion all by yourself that is what you gather from that particular name, then it is a perfectly valid opinion to have that your opinion would be maybe that name isn't serving the thing. For that person to say now, oh, you can't have that opinion. Like, listen, that particular organization or group might want to know that is an opinion that is had once they see that name.
Yeah, and that was,
you know what I'm saying. So it would serve both sides, or they would at least get them to come out and say, no, look, this is what specifically it's about, and this is what it means, this is what it came from. And I know a lot of people in this particular sense had a real knee-jerk reaction. It was a pretty polarizing type of thing to begin with, and then had a lot of sort of little subgroups, that kind of came out in sort of in anti-protest to everything. That shit kind of bothers me, but I'm not going to stop those people from doing it.
And my whole thing has always been, and I've talked to people who vary from me, white, black, racist, not racist. I love having conversations with everybody because, I'm a CIS white guy who's heterosexual. I mean, there's only certain viewpoints that I'm going to get.
Wait, did you just fucking identify yourself as a cisgender white male?
Yes, because I wanted to.
I don't even fucking know you anymore.
But because my experience.
Who are you?
I'm the California pariah, don't you know?
He's an it.
I enjoy talking to people and learning experiences, even if there's and the end of it comes to me has always been my entire life, and I have friends like this who are completely opposite than me. I say as long as we can agree to disagree, then I'm happy because I enjoy the conversation, even if it gets heated. At the end of the day, you say, what, I'm sorry, man, or I'm sorry, girl. we're cool, right? And 99% of the time,
You just assumed a lot of people's genders.
yes. A lot of the time, they'll all go, yeah, no problem. But this one schlemiel decided to be a jabroni and just say, threaten me. It just pisses me
Did
off.
you just use the word schlemiel and jabroni in the same fucking sentence?
I did.
Without taking a breath.
Beat that, by the way.
Schlemiel. Mother.
Well, you want me to throw
Wow.
a mook? Which is an Italian
I mean,
cuss
look,
word.
those are a couple of schlemiel. I can't remember the last time I ever heard that word.
It's one of my favorite words. It really drives me crazy today that there's no conversation. If you look online, social media is the prime example of the way society is generated. Nobody can have a simple conversation. Nobody can say, hey, I agree to disagree. Everybody not only defends their opinion to the death, but they're a dick about it. Like, oh, you fucking, I'm gonna blah, 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 blah. It's like, whoa, calm down, dude. All I said is I just didn't like eggs, type of thing. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
you know what? The one thing I always wanted to say, sort of to the naysayers of that particular name, and again, I don't know why we're skirting around this. The one thing I always wanted to say to the people who are like, oh, come on, dude, that's a terrible name. What yada 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 yada. It's just simply, you know what, motherfucker, you know what we meant. Like, just don't. Everybody knows what everybody means, but people get pedantic about it. To borrow a term there, because they want to. It's all about the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law. I'm all sort of about like hey, look, we all know what you meant.
Well, I'm the king of pedantic. If you guys have been watching what we've done over the years, Old Guy Tech, Real Flicks Reviews, MadTrio, I'm an incredibly pedantic person. Words, certain things really bug me, or it's like, I don't like that. I realize it makes me kind of a dick sometimes. I mean well. Like,
So if they let me ask, if they added the word
Can we put that on your
also, would that have made a
tombstone?
difference?
John, he meant well,
What was that, Ryan?
but he died sick.
What was
I
that?
was just saying, if they added the word also, would that have made a difference?
Maybe. I just...
So then it literally comes
What about a
down
question
to
mark?
we all know what they meant.
Yes. Well, here's the reason why is because the way people... I've always been a pedantic individual. I was born... I've always been. But it's become the society because of how politically polarizing everybody is. You have to be extremely specific, or everybody gets their panties in a wad. And I told people, like, look, I disagree with the name, but I totally get the cause. I'm totally for whatever you're doing. If what you're doing is actually legit, I'm totally cool. I just don't like the name, and I don't live or die by it.
That's the thing is that people started kind of like they thought they meant instead. You know what I mean? Like, as opposed to also. And it's like, no, you didn't think that, but you're trolling people into thinking that you thought that.
So,
Well, what if I thought they meant instead? It's like, shut the fuck up. No, you didn't. Stop trolling.
I'm going to switch topics a little bit. I've got two more topics after this, but another one I thought was fascinating. James Gunn, the director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, was excommunicated from Disney recently because some tweets he did like 10 years ago came up. They were incredible. He says it's a joke, so I'm going to go off what he says. I think they were in poor taste. Some of them were about, little kids touching him, etc. And so they canned him. The first thing being is you don't piss off the mouse. If anybody cares, nobody, and I mean nobody cares about their public image more than Disney.
Dude, if we've learned one thing in the last 2 months, it's don't piss off the mouse.
Yeah, and so the most interesting thing, and this is a comment on Reddit that I found that was talking about this situation. Basically, so I'm going to read it verbatim just because I thought it was really good. There's a director named Mark Duplass. He wrote a tweet saying that if liberals want
Duplass.
Duplass, thank you. He
Dumas.
wrote a tweet saying that if liberals want to try and reach across the aisle, Ben Shapiro is a good person to follow because he's honest and generally a nice person. Mark Duplass got mercilessly harassed by liberals on Twitter over this. James Gunn then defended Mark, but in doing so, he kind of threw Ben Shapiro under the bus. Specifically, Gunn brought up things that Shapiro wrote over 10 years ago. Then he apologized at the time. This is why people went through Gunn's tweet and held him accountable for things he said 2 years ago. One of the reasons Gunn was fired was this. I find it fascinating. One, that Disney really has no sacred cows, being their directors. And I would say James Gunn's vision is Guardians of the Galaxy.
And I actually like some of James Gunn's films.
It did surprise me.
Look, here's the thing: is that James Gunn is literally known for being a specifically shocking person. You know, so the thing about the Roseanne Barr, and I was actually reading about how she's fucking furious over the support for James Gunn because basically she got railroaded and everyone's like, but James Gunn is nice. And it probably is a little bit of sort of, liberal versus conservative fucking politics being played there. It's support for our guy versus not support for the other. So I try to take away the fringes of both of these sides of the argument.
It's definitely a little bit of hypocrisy. I mean, I think the only thing...
But not necessarily. Here's the difference, is it's all about intent. See, back in the day when he's doing the Tromeo and Juliet types of shit, and he's probably tweeting these things, I would venture a guess to say that everything he said was satirical, and meant to be satirical, and with the obvious intent of being satirical. With Roseanne, there was not necessarily that obvious intent, you know?
I would say...
Like, that just came across as like, oh, shit. Because, see, here's the problem, is James Gunn is not known for tweeting, especially back in the day. I'm totally talking out of my ass here. I could be wrong. But as far as I know, he wasn't known for being a politically active person where he's making a lot of comments. I think all of his tweets were probably meant to be shitty and satirical and funny because
okay, hold on. You brought up James Gunn back when he was part of Troma Films. There was no social media at that time except for maybe MySpace.
Well, I think that was 2008.
I know, Tromeo and Juliet was farther back than that.
These tweets, though. I think
but that's what I'm saying.
Tromeo and Juliet was 97, but he was still involved in the Tromeo shit well into the 2000, late 2000s, like 2008, 2007.
But hold on. But people that are familiar with James Gunn now, I highly doubt 80% of that fan base know Troma at all.
I guarantee they don't.
So I think from him coming from that background of Troma Films, which if you're not familiar with them, go familiarize yourself. You'll hate me later.
They'll love you.
But the thing is that he came from that type of background, which is an extreme darker side of films, I guess you could say.
They do really good B movies.
But for him to come to a big studio like Disney or things like that, I think that they might not get his sense of humor in that sense. So, they're not going to understand like you're saying where it's the satirical sense of it.
See, I saw the
Tromeo and Juliet is a great Troma film. If you guys have not seen Tromeo and Juliet,
we're coming down to the sort of Lenny Bruce style of thing where it's this person who's in a courtroom and it's a lawyer that's reading the transcript of a comedy thing and everything's sort of being taken out of context. Like, listen, this is who I was back in the day. This is the sort of the intent of the
Could you imagine them reading the Tromeo and Juliet script in a courtroom?
That'd be hilarious.
Oh my gosh. It would be ridiculous.
What was it you had back in the 90s something? I think it was Ice-T's lyrics.
Oh, God.
You had, don't remember. It was a very famous actor was reading Ice-T's, one of the songs. I think it was one of the Killer song, the Kill Cops songs. That had to happen. That'd
be hilarious.
I would say the only thing is everybody knew, but the only reason why I think this is very similar is everybody knows Roseanne. I think everybody forgot Roseanne, though, is she does stuff to shock. I mean, she's Jewish, and a couple of years ago, she took a picture in a Hitler uniform. So that's what her whole shtick, her whole life is just been...
Yeah, but here's the thing, though, is that all the
Tom
stuff that
Arnold
she was
couldn't
doing
handle
about
her.
the Obama fucking... All the stuff she was doing about the Obama birther shit was never, ever meant to be satirical. She was dead fucking serious.
That's actually true.
So
I
now
actually
when we
believe she
think-
was serious on it.
You think so? Because I never took it
do.
that way.
I really do. I think she.
Oh, she was absolutely serious.
Well, hold on. Let me put it this way. It's one of those things where. Hold on, Ryan. Where it's
the right wing fuck yeah.
It's one of those things where she comes off as saying it, but it's one of those things where she's serious about it, but she's trying to make it a joke too. And when people don't laugh, she backtracks. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those
Yeah,
where
well,
she's pushing the extreme, kind of like what Whoopi Goldberg was doing back when Bush was in office.
So she's going to be found as a hero because somebody laughed, or she's going to say, "Oh no, I was trying to be." Okay,
Exactly. That's the way I took it, and that's the way I have always understood Roseanne as a person and as a character. Like, I think what Ryan's saying is where that people forgot about Roseanne.
that was me.
Yeah, you. Where, you said that, I think that's very true, is the fact that they don't remember the Roseanne show or how she was back then. And that's the way she still is. I don't see her changing her stripes.
I'll agree. I'll agree with that. I'll backtrack a little bit. I think you're right. I think she was trying to be funny, but on the other hand, maybe she really was on some sort of ambient-induced alcoholic rager where she has no control of what comes out of her mouth, which, if you've known anybody who's been on Ambien, is not completely outside of the realm of reality, considering people have killed somebody on Ambien. There are people who have made dinners and eaten food and not known it, so I wouldn't be surprised.
But I think it's the fact that she was trying to
push the edge.
Yeah, she was trying to push the edge, and she went too far, and there was no backtracking for her.
I do think. See, here's
because she was under Disney.
Yeah, I think that the one thing is if this was anybody else, I think she would have gotten away with just like community service.
If this was Fox back in the '90s, early '90s, she would have just.
Well,
one would have batted an eye.
I think if it was Fox now, I think what it is Disney is very controlled over their image. I mean, the one thing Disney cares more about anything is the family-friendly company. One of the reasons why they're so inclusive.
Well, then they shouldn't have bought Fox.
So,
Just putting that out there.
I thought this was kind of bullshit when they fired James Gunn. I thought it was bullshit with Roseanne. But I do think if you fire one, you have to fire the other. Otherwise, it's considered hypocrisy. Now, is it fair? It's a completely valid question, and I don't know if I have an answer for that.
I think at this point...
What do you think, Ryan?
Well, here's the thing: is that there was a good time. I mean, everyone knows like comedians like Anthony Jeselnik or the previous generation of like Don Rickles. The jokes were
Edgy.
Were so over the top offensive. No, fuck edgy. It was meant to be as offensive as possible, but with the joke still involved in it. But the joke was completely offensive and completely taboo and all these things.
I would say with Don Rickles, that's
of course,
especially
obviously,
true.
his career took a different direction. Oh fuck! Have you seen Anthony Jeselnik's shit last few years?
I haven't seen it. One of the reasons why I say Don Rickles, because especially if you look at the way modern society is, he would have been excommunicated. He would have been killed at the stake just because some of the jokes he made towards, like, if you look at,
they would have chased him with pitchforks, tar, and fire and everything.
Do me a favor, go to YouTube, type in Don Rickles roasts. You'll come across the Dean Martin roasts.
Do the Sammy Davis ones too.
Go across anytime you see a black panelist, and you'll see what I'm saying.
Hold on a second. If you do, you definitely take that in the context of the time.
Oh no,
that was.
Oh right, no. Well, see, no, I completely agree.
I'm serious, because that was at the time bridging gaps like nobody had ever done before. You know what I mean? But it was still
the beginning of that.
Stuff that today we would think a little bit harsher about.
Well, that was actually my point. Was if you look at like Don Rickles today would not be a comedian because his sense of humor and his joke style was so offensive. But back then it was considered inclusive because he made crap and talked crap about everybody. I mean,
the thing is that you're kind of touching on, but I think you need to make it a more blunt point.
Wait, hold on.
Is that for Don Rickles to take a panelist up there of a different race and make a very inappropriate or perverse or raunchy joke about that person, that is a sign at that time of you're a friend. And I'm reaching across and I am going to make a joke about you, but I'm bringing you in as a close friend that I feel like I can do that with. And that's the difference is that
it's exactly right. It's like, hey, I'm going to make this joke about you because you know I love you to death.
Yeah, because you couldn't make those jokes. No, but I would say, like between James and I and Ryan, we talk horrendous crap to each other. You should see some of the shit we text each other. But we've been friends. I mean, I've always been the opinion is good friends harangue each other. It's like the old joke, you know, if you got arrested, your friend would be arrested for, you know, with you type of thing. And he'd be harassing you. Dude, I told you she was a cop.
I mean, there's a meme out there that I sent to somebody that says, if I haven't made a perverse, raunchy, or inappropriate joke to you, I'm not a very close friend.
God damn, you must be a really good friend.
Yeah, right.
You know? If I'm not being as blunt as I am with people, then, you know, I don't really give a shit. That's the truth.
Well, here's the thing: is that there's certain jokes that the three of us can make to each other, but not on this podcast, for example.
Oh, no,
because
not even
people, because people don't know where we're coming from when we say certain things.
Oh no,
you know what I mean? If I, in the privacy of you know, like hanging out with you guys, say some really fucked up thing about like a particular race, for example. You know that it's never, ever coming from a place of hatred because you know me for a very long time. Yeah. Now, here's what I was going to say is that, to me, the difference, and this is just kind of a knee-jerk reaction, having sort of become aware of this in the last 10 minutes, the reason that, you know, like, I love Gilbert Gottfried. Okay, I love that guy. He's fucking hilarious.
I want to know what he really
and not just because he was Iago. He sounds exactly like that.
He does.
That's his real voice?
He really does.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
He actually turns it off to do a really good, like, Jerry Seinfeld impression. It's fucking spot on. Huh. But anyway, he was fired back in the day for the Aflac deal because after the Japanese tsunami, he tweeted, I mean, we're talking the fucking waves hadn't even broke on the shore, and this guy's tweeting tsunami jokes.
Yeah.
Didn't he also get fired for making
He was tweeting 9/11 jokes, and the fucking...
Greg.
And the buildings were still, like, smoldering in the background. But here's the thing is he was fired from Aflac while he was currently representing that company. Yep. Roseanne was fired from Disney because she did something whilst currently representing that company.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, goddamn, if my boss looked into, like, talked to a bunch of my friends that I knew back in the day and tried to fire me for some, you know, character flaw that I had when I was 19, he wouldn't have to look very far.
Still wouldn't. Wasn't he fired from Affleck?
Probably not, but it'd be a different list.
Wouldn't he get fired? Didn't he get fired from Affleck for making fun of Greg Giraldo when all of Greg Giraldo's friends said,
"No,
he did the right thing"?
No, it was tsunami jokes.
Was it? Because I remember he got a lot of shit for making jokes about Greg Giraldo dying, and all of Greg Giraldo's friends are like, "Dude, he would have found that funny." Yeah. Like everybody came out and stuck up for him.
Well, I mean, Gilbert Gottfried, like that's the funniest thing is like if you ever sit there and watch the Aristocrats, which we didn't do for RFR, but
thank God.
It's something that you should watch. Is that I mean, there were so many people like, oh, Bob Saget's going to be the worst one on there. Nope, Gilbert Gottfried took it to a whole different level that Bob Saget didn't even touch.
So I'm going to go on a little bit of another rant, and this is something for the last two.
About this because he stepped off for a moment.
No.
Okay.
I'm back.
This is something that's the last couple of days.
It's a bee in his bonnet.
Yes. I'm a little pissed. So, first off, Warner Brothers, fuck you. Now they got that out of the way. Somebody who works at Warner Brothers decided to pull a video that we did, a review of A Scanner Darkly, which, by the way, wasn't a giant success. I only know a handful of people who actually know of the movie. So they pulled it. So what happened is they flagged it, and Real Fix Reviews didn't use any video, clips, images, or audio of the show.
Of the movie
at all, period, because I was afraid to do it. Otherwise, Real Fix Reviews would have been a lot better than it was. They pulled it for no reason other than probably the fact they hated the review, which, hey, I mean, it's not exactly Das Boat as far as being the bad of a review, but even that didn't get kicked off.
Die Nazis.
there's a gentleman who works for, let me actually get his title.
Mr. Bendover.
He's the manager of the worldwide anti-piracy operations at Warner Brothers. And they haven't told me a reason. I've emailed them. I've done the dispute, but this lovely individual, and I'm saying that as sarcastically as I can, decided to pull my video for no reason, probably other than he just disliked the review. And I'll be honest, I probably gave a bad review of the movie. It probably deserves a 1 out of 5.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Ryan and I gave it a 3 because it's a good movie.
All, I was going to say I like the movie.
I do too.
Yeah, we didn't use anything in there. Look, it's was it a well-crafted review? Probably fucking not. Was it particularly entertaining to watch? Probably fucking not.
Well, I gotta say, I've heard a couple of times. Sorry, I was going to say, Real Flicks Reviews, I've heard from a number of people, it was really fun to listen to when you're driving, which I'm not sure is a compliment or not.
I mean, is it the middle of the night, or are we keeping them up?
Well,
no, like rush hour.
I would take that because I listen to all my podcasts while I'm driving. It's that sort of found time. I'm surprised that anybody fucking really watched and or listened to that. Because, quite a few of them, especially the first, couple hundred. We were trying to find any kind of a style, some kind of a repertoire when we're talking to each other, working out all the fucking dumbass kinks of me being in fucking Southern California and you guys up there, and I'm on a phone usually. A lot of trial and error went into that thing. But regardless, it could have been just some dumb kid in his basement, which we might as well be. Why on earth would Warner Brothers? I mean, wouldn't, if anything, even if it was a bad review, get people to want to watch the movie before? Like, that's weird. That is really weird.
That's what I'm saying. Like, of all the film, all the movies that we review,
we're losing millions of fucking views.
So the whole point of Real Flick Reviews, and this was literally boil it down like cabbage stew. The whole point of it was to generate a conversation, whether you disliked it or hated it. That was the whole point, was to get people to talk about movies, the style, the plot holes, the things they like. That was the whole fucking reason, literally, because Ryan, James,
Maybe
and I...
he's pissed off because we gave away the entire movie without saying spoiler alert.
But what spoiler was there in the film? That's what I want to point out. The entire movie of A Scanner Darkly
was very linear.
What spoiler did we give?
It was you could have...
there's not really a spoiler you can give.
That's what I'm pointing out. What spoiler?
So, by the way, you could have watched... By the way, this was, if you watched an episode of Real Flicks Reviews, you realize we spoiled the ever-living crap out of everything. As a matter of fact, I got a couple of text messages of friends saying, fuck you. Well, but why? Is the only thing is, I have no idea. I've tried to contact this guy. So what is it? Period. Because you have no reason to pull my fucking content because this jackass decided to get a bee in his bonnet because, they said something bad about a movie you only have a small amount of people. So.
Well, here's the thing is that I wonder where legally he has the grounds to do that, because wouldn't it fall under, like, aren't there...
free speech?
No, it's not even satire. It's
review.
Like critique, there's like critics' rights and shit like that, where you can talk about a particular thing that's out.
So the only thing,
and if it falls under the being a critic, like a review or something like that, then what the fuck?
So the only thing I could think of is I bought the theme song from the same place I bought the theme song for MadTrio. It's a pod safe thing. I bought the rights to use it continuously. Blah blah blah. You name it. It's the only thing I think of, but nothing else has been flagged. That's the only episode that's been flagged is of that. And why? Because realistically, it didn't have that many views. Well, so you could have left it alone.
Well,
and I would have
here's
never
the thing:
mentioned
is that it's definitely by no stretch anywhere close to the only fucking Warner Brothers movie we've reviewed.
That's what I've said too.
There's probably 100 Warner Brothers movies on there.
By the way, that's episode 165. If y'all are wondering,
so you skipped over 164 to go to A Scanner Darkly,
which was a crap movie in my opinion.
I mean, just that's the thing that blows me away, and that's the other thing is, like, I'm seriously racking my brain here. What part of A Scanner Darkly did we spoil for anybody? And the other point is that John always said it's a book club for people who hate reading. If you know anything about book clubs, You're supposed to read the fucking book before you go to your club meeting.
It's the reason why I said it.
Well, hold on a second.
thing-
I said that as a joke before when I said it was probably because we didn't say spoiler alert. That was a joke.
But that's my thing.
So
is
I
like we
really
always
sincerely
said,
doubt that was the reason.
But we
Honestly-
said this is
but I
the
wanna
movie
know
we're going
why.
to do
That's-
next.
Honestly, I really do think that's the only reason, because I haven't been gotten any reason besides I have the guy's Gmail address. That's it. I don't know. So the only thing I have to come back to was that. And if it's that, hey, I can live with that, but I want to know why, and I want YouTube to put my review back. I did do the request refute the copyright claim. I did that. Usually takes 10 business days. May not come back ever, so we'll see what happens.
But I'm just more curious. Like,
Here's the thing: is I couldn't personally care less if that review ever got back up on the internet or not. It makes zero difference whatsoever. I actually kind of like the idea of it being a lost episode. Hey, what the fuck happened to 164? But I'm legitimately curious. Like, I would even write to the guy, like, hey, listen, take it down forever for all I care. Burn it, in the backyard of Warner Brothers. But just out of curiosity.
That's
what I want to know. I really want to know why, and I want to know what grounds he thinks he has copyright to.
Because, by the way, Old Guy Tech TV owns the copyright, as you actually watch the end of every episode of Real Flicks Reviews, Old Guy Tech, whatever the fuck we did. It says copyright Old Guy Tech TV. I own the fucking copyright.
So, yeah, I actually want to know,
views and
can
opinions
we get money out of this guy?
in MadTrio do not necessarily reflect those of Old Guy Tech TV.
Well,
Hey,
at least these
they
two's
do a fucking disclaimer for anything that comes out of my goddamn mouth, so why not?
Yes, because you're in a different bitch. I need to.
Well, I mean, you started doing it right after Das Boot, you fucking Nazis.
Well, because you're just like gravity.
Well, whatever.
So that was the only thing I wanted to just get that off my head, because it really pissed me off. I mean, I could go on rants all day long about stupid shit, but that was something that was stupid enough that really pissed me off.
So, Ryan, have you ever gone
I
flying
wonder
much?
if it was something as simple as using the title of A Scanner Darkly in the review title of the episode.
But it didn't use text that was similar. It didn't use anything. I mean, can you do that?
No, I'm just saying, like, on the title of the video on YouTube, just the word A Scanner Darkly in that order. Maybe that was enough for him to say, like, nope, you cannot use the words of A Scanner Darkly.
That's pushing it.
Or maybe we just somehow fall into weird loophole where we don't qualify as a legit review fucking show or something.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, I'll be blunt. I haven't read up on the DMC laws in a while, but I mean, it doesn't fall under any of that shit. I mean, seriously, as far as what the DMCA, what came out in 2001?
2000 something, yeah.
It was around 2001 or 2002. Anyway, but that shit came out. I mean, there's nothing in the law of there that would fit him having any copyright claim.
So I think we need
Mr. Bendover, can you explain it?
I think we need a transition from one content to the next. So today I learned that a lethal dose of chocolate from a human being is about 22 pounds or 40 bars of dairy milk. And one Smartie would be enough to kill a rabbit, a robin, or a songbird. I call bullshit in the 22 pounds of chocolate, though.
I don't think I'd ever want to eat 22 pounds of chocolate.
No, but I still call shenanigans.
I wonder if you can melt it and just chug it. I mean, like, because there is some milk solids in there, in the chocolate, that can separate from it. I'm wondering, because, you can't drink a gallon of milk. I wonder if that equals out to a gallon of milk and...
By the way,
22 pounds of chocolate.
It does remind me. I dared James at one point to drink a small Starbucks of nothing but espresso shots. And a little girl behind the counter said, "Make sure you don't have more than 22 shots of espresso without eating." And I kind of wondered, is this something you discovered? Do they tell you this in barista class? How exactly do you know that little tidbit of information about what might hurt you caffeine-wise?
Well, I'm personally obsessed with looking up the LD50 for random shit. For anybody wondering, LD50 stands for lethal dose, and 50 is in regards to it will kill 50% of people.
Oh, Ryan was around.
I mean, but I'll look up the when our caffeine fucking craze was going down. Yeah, I was around.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he was around when I was drinking like 15 shots of coffee a day and 15 shots of espresso and like 3 cups of coffee a day. I mean, that was just my daily dose. But so
Yeah.
If you guys are late for a plane, what kind of things would you try to do to get there?
Fire!
Or to make the plane stop?
What was the question again?
If you know that you're going to show up late for a flight, I mean, what goes through your mind to either make the flight or delay the plane?
My first thought would be, fuck, I got to sleep in the airport.
Like would I call in a bomb threat just to delay the plane for an hour or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not that far. But
well, Dana Carter.
Yeah, no, I would just rush like a crazy asshole.
Well, Dana Carter decided that she was going to call in a bomb threat to the Dallas, Texas-bound United Airlines flight in October. And guess what? They got arrested. Shocker. I just want to know what.
Man, I mean, it's not. You're not. First of all, it's not the '90s when you can get away with calling in a random bomb threat just to get
from a payphone
meeting or something.
I mean, these fucking things are to your name.
Yeah.
I mean,
right. I mean, one, we take it a little more seriously now. Two, your flight is not only delayed, no one's getting on that plane for quite some time.
Exactly.
It's not going to give you the extra 20 minutes you need to get.
God. There's a website of, was it causation? It's a causation and correlation, or don't equal each other. There's some funny charts, but like the number of people drowned by falling in a pool and Nicolas Cage
is this
films.
like, what is this? Is this like a suicide thing?
This is like causation doesn't equal correlation, or flip that. Basically, this guy finds these charts that match each other, and they're completely random shit. Like this one's number of people who drown by falling into a pool, and films Nicolas Cage appeared in, and they're straight line.
I love that.
So like number like. So it's another one is per capita cheese consumption and number of people who died by becoming tangled in bed sheets.
How do you die getting tangled in bed? I mean, is this like jail suicides too?
I'll send this to you, Ryan. I heard about it on the radio today. Divorce rates in Maine correlated with per capita consumption of margarine.
What was that one again? I'm sorry.
Right? Divorce rates in Maine and per capita consumption of margarine. This is hilarious.
Oh, man.
But are these...
worldwide non-commercial space launches correlated with Scientology doctrine awarded.
I actually heard about those Scientology award shows. They're pretty extreme in how they control the media of those things. It's actually really interesting.
I'm still pissed that I got to edit the fucking show.
Sorry, John.
By the way, this is the first time ever that I've had to edit a mistake of his.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the views expressed by James Stevens do not exactly equate anything related to Old Guy Tech TV, Jonathan Charney, or Ryan Black Glove Preston.
I mean, do we actually have to print out a form that I have to sign on this shit? I mean, at this point, do we really need to? I mean, do we need to get some lawyer to draw up something? That
I just thought it was funny. It's like, of all the language to say, you just did that, and I'm like, dude! Ryan?
Yep, yeah.
Shit. But the show really went off rails.
You're welcome.
See, I was trying to think of if I had anything else to end the show with. So I'll just let Ryan go first if you have any comments or stories before we pull the plug. It's.
I mean,
oh God, pull the
not
plug.
necessarily.
We're code blue right now.
I've been spending most of my time fucking playing fucking PUBG. God damn, that game's addicting.
By the way, what the fuck does that stand for?
It stands for Player Unknown's Battlegrounds.
Okay, thank you. I've heard that so much, and I've never been able to find what it stands for. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, it's like Fortnite or whatever, but it's actually kind of a genius game. You just put 100 people in a map, and it's a battle royale. You start out with nothing. It's kind of Hunger Games style. or battle royale
Oh,
specifically,
I mean,
if you want to.
I'd rather have a battle royale. I want somebody to get a trash can lid and me to get binoculars.
Goodness, what was the one that it was the hostage and terrorist old computer game that was a closed system back in the day?
Oh,
You're talking like
Team Fortress?
Counter-Strike or...
Counter-Strike, yeah.
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 So, James?
Well, yeah, except 100 people instead of like 12.
James, any?
No, I kind of screwed the pooch on mine. It squealed. It really, really squealed.
Ladies and gentlemen, like James's favorite farm animal, unfortunately, we're going to have to call it quits. Yeah, you figure out how that correlates. So, ladies and gentlemen, for Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan, dear God, Preston, as always, thank you for listening.
Goodbye.